Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. 17MattKensthDewalt's checking in. Well, guys, it's been quite a year, and now 2014 is just around the corner. But before we go to the next year, let's take a look back at 2013. The 2013 NASCAR season was quite the season. Jimmie Johnson picked up his 6th NASCAR title. Matt Kenseth had an incredible run, winning 7 times and finishing runner-up in the points. And the new car delivered. And now, today, speaking of new cars, we're going to look back at some of the best new car paint schemes of 2013. Disclaimer, these are based off of my opinion. I mean, once this video is over, you can comment and tell me which ones you like best, and I will respect that opinion. But these are the ones that I think are best. So, anyways, let's not debate this any further. I almost forgot. Before I get this started, remember how I said there were going to be 12 cars in this video? Well, guess what? Considering that NASCAR decided to put a 13th car in the chase, I've decided to make up the rules as I go and put a 13th car in this video. So, that was one of the big controversies of this year. But anyway, let's get this started. Coming in at number 13. Kasey Kahne's Farmers Insurance Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Really nice paint scheme. Got a win in this one at Pocono. Kasey did. And next year, the blue on this car will be even darker. Looks really good. Coming in at number 12. Clint Bowyer's Peak Antifreeze Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. Of course, we all know Clint's season was defined by the scandal at Richmond. Thankfully, this paint scheme will not be defined by that. He ran this, I think, at Daytona or Talladega. He might have ran it at both. I don't remember. Cool paint scheme regardless. Number 11. This one's one of my all-time favorites. Kasey Kahne's Quaker State Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Almost said insurance. What the hell am I thinking? Anyways, last year this was one of my favorites. Of course, it's still one of my all-time favorites. It's just there were a lot of cool paint schemes this year. But this one is a beauty. It's sad that it won't be back with Hendrick Motorsports next year as Quaker State is dropping their sponsorship, but one of the greatest paint schemes of all time. Anyways, now here's the top 10. Coming in at number 10, and one of the winningest paint schemes of 2013, Matt Kenseth's Dollar General Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Gosh, what an awesome paint scheme, and it had an awesome run this year, winning 4 times and running to a second-place finish. What a season for Matt. It'll be back next year. It'll look the same, so go, Matt, go! And the next paint scheme, coming in at number 9, Brad Keselowski's Miller Lite Ford Fusion for Roger Penske. Very beautiful update from last year. The sparkly blue, light blue was okay, but this looks more like what the Miller Lite car should look like. Dark blue. Look, it's so BA. Glad I got this car. It's going to look the same next year, but it's still badass. Hopefully Brad Keselowski will take this to victory lane more in 2014. Looks more like the classic Miller Lite Ford. Of course, kind of like the one Rusty Wallace ran back in the early 2000s. Well, anyway, coming in at number 8, Eric Almirola's U.S. Air Force Salutes Ford for Richard Petty Motorsports. When I first saw this car, I kind of had my doubts, but then when it finally came out, it looked better than advertised, and it makes this list at number 8. Awesome car, best of the salutes car, and go Air Force. Alright, coming in at number 7. Jeff Gordon's 2013 Exalta Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. DuPont, Exalta, oh, it don't matter. This paint scheme's always a classic and one of the greatest of all time. I'm glad that Exalta stayed true to DuPont, despite taking over the company. All that really changed was the name. And can't wait to see it next year. And hopefully Gordon will get some wins in that. Alright, coming in at number 6, another winning full paint scheme. Matt Kenseth's 2013 Husky Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Almost said Ford. Fuck Roush. Anyways, this car, love the red. He had a hell of a run with this. Next year, it's going to be Husky and Home Depot with black and orange. And it looks just as good as this one. But I definitely like this car. My favorite Kensth paint scheme of this year. And glad he got a couple wins in this one and had a great run. But I cannot wait for next year's Husky Home Depot car. Alright, here's the top 5. Rolling off from 5th. It is the Kyle Busch Interstate All-Battery Center Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. This has always been one of my favorite cars, and the new 6th generation car makes it look even better. The gold and green are just awesome. And hopefully next year he'll take it to Victory Lane. And I hope Lionel makes it again next year. And if you notice very carefully, the green on the diecast is lighter than the green on the actual paint scheme, which was a dark green. So it's kind of a mistake made by Lionel, but still a kick-ass paint scheme. And now, coming in at number 4, a favorite among diecast collectors. Oop, I dropped it. Anyway, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s 2013 Zest Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. This paint scheme, since it debuted last year, it has been one of the best in the sport, and it's one of my favorites. And hopefully, when Ricky gets his first win next year, if he does, hopefully it'll be in this car, or even his 5th third. This car is awesome. You should get it. And obviously, it was a favorite among diecast reviewers, as I said, and it ranks 4th on my favorite diecast. Zestfully clean. Hopefully that wasn't anything like Mr. Noonan. Anyway, coming in at number 3, Joey Logano's AAA Ford Fusion for Penske Racing. One of my favorite paint schemes of all time. And this year it looked fantastic with the new Ford body. And Joey Logano really represented this scheme well. It got trashed a couple times, but still an awesome paint scheme. My 3rd favorite. And I hope Joey Logano makes the chase again next year and kicks butt. Go, Joey, go. So anyway, come to the last 2. Coming in at number 2, it is Denny Hamlin's FedEx Left Turn Tribute car, or Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Saw this paint scheme at MIS, and it was one of the best that's ever raced at MIS. Yeah, it had a poor showing, but it looked really good, and I'm really glad to have gotten this car. Love the purple and the orange combination. Not a Hamlin fan, but this car, definitely one of the most kick-ass schemes I've ever seen. Especially since it was based off a 2005 scheme. And that year, there were a lot of cool paint schemes. Well, guys, we've come to number 1. And here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Drum roll and whatnot. No, there's no drum roll, I'm kidding. Now, coming in, the number 1 paint scheme of 2013. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s 5th third Ford Fusion for Roush. Probably one of my favorite paint schemes ever. And blue and green are my favorite colors. And that's why I really love this paint scheme. And this year, it looks great. From what I heard, both this sponsor and Zest will both be back on Ricky Stenhouse's car for next year. So, I'm sure the Zest will stay the same. 5th third, I'm hoping gets a paint scheme update. I'll get another one. But what a cool paint scheme. I'm lucky to have this one. So anyway, that's it. That's the show. 13 best diecast of 2013. Comment, rate, subscribe. I'd love to hear what diecast you guys like the best. And I love opinions. And, well, this is 17MattKensthDewalt's signing off for the last time in 2013. Happy New Year, everyone.